Hi, welcome to my video. This is my first video on YouTube. I just wanted to make a video that might help somebody because I think I have something that might be of value to somebody out there. What I'm going to be talking about is straight edge. Being straight edge, I've been straight edge for 8 months and 15 days today. I'm not really going to get into the whole straight edge subculture. I'm not going to talk about its origins or what the whole punk thing is about. I'm just going to talk about the principles. The main principles are no tobacco, no drugs, and no alcohol. Uh, and then some people within the subculture, including myself, extended to no promiscuous sex, a vegan lifestyle, and no caffeine or stimulants, really. So, I think in order to talk about this, I'm gonna give you guys a little backstory about how I got here, how I used to be before wanting to become straight edge and all that. So I've always been really attracted ever since I was 12 years old to I'm 23 now, by the way, to the whole straight edge subculture. I think it's really cool that people have the discipline to not drink, to not do drugs. I think that in a society that's all about peer pressure, really, and where drugs and alcohol and abuse is so glamorized, to have people that say, no, fuck that, I'm gonna live a healthy lifestyle that's like contrary to what I'm being pressured into doing. I think I've always thought that's really cool, but I just never thought it would be something for me because I've always really enjoyed partying and excess and alcohol. So I was never a wild child while I was in high school or anything like that, although I kind of always wanted to be. I wasn't a wild child because my parents were very always on my back, so I wasn't partying or anything like that, but I would watch shows like Skins and whatever teenager shows that always glamorize partying, and just I would always think like as soon as I turn 18 I'm gonna leave my house, even though I had lovely parents. It's not like they were overbearing or anything, but I wanted to leave my house and like just have like this crazy wild life, like live fast, die young, blah blah blah. So it really started when I was 19. I got a hefty allowance from my dad, and my allowance wouldn't even see the end of like the first 2 weeks. I got it bi-weekly. So I would spend all of it basically in alcohol and partying and all that. I would always buy my friends drinks because I liked having a good time and I liked everyone around me having a good time. So progressively, it started getting a little out of control. At that point, it was only alcohol because I was prioritizing alcohol over anything really. I wasn't an alcoholic per se, or I don't think I was, because it wasn't like I was getting drunk during the day or anything like that. It was just my mind was always in partying. Like, I want to get out of class so I can party. Like, who can I party with? Who are my partying friends? Um, and I had serious like fear of missing out, so I never liked leaving a party too soon or just feeling like I wasn't living my life. I thought that the meaning of living your life to the fullest was like go out there, meet people, party, have a lot of sex. Like that's how I felt validated. That's how I felt like I was really living my life. So by the time I was in my turning 20, I discovered electronic dance music, started going to music festivals, and that's when I started trying drugs. Um, Drugs never really gelled with me that much because I feel like my reaction to drugs was never good. I usually, even if I got a good high, I usually had like panic attacks and all that. And the thing is, when I tell you about it, it's gonna sound like I was doing a lot of drugs, but compared to the people around me, I really wasn't doing a lot of drugs, and that says something, right? So I was doing sometimes Molly, or for those of you who don't know, Molly is MDMA, which is the pure extract of ecstasy. I did Molly whenever I went to music festivals. I did cocaine almost every weekend because where I live, cocaine is very easy to get and it's very cheap. I started trying ketamine when I was 22. I accidentally did acid sometimes. Accidentally, that's a story for another time. I tried PCP, I tried obviously weed, stuff like that. Just almost any party drugs that you can think of, I tried. But again, drugs never gelled with me. It was alcohol and promiscuous sex. Those were my demons. So I would always have rock bottoms in the sense that I would do something wild, like not be heard from not be heard of from for like 3 days in a row, stuff like that, because I was partying somewhere. And it would always be like my mom crying, my sister telling me I need to get my shit together, dropping in and out of like university. I was studying law and political science, by the way, and I was really good at it, which is why everyone was always so worried, because it's like you're wasting your potential. But it's just like, even if I wanted to quit, I was so enamored by partying, and the way I saw sex was completely ego driven. It wasn't even about the sexual gratification, it wasn't even about pleasure, it was about always having the best looking person. So it was like a checklist. And I would actually, this is gonna sound really weird, but I would take pictures of the guys that I was with, just and like keep them in a special album in my on my phone, because it was like trophies, you know, like I got this guy and this guy's a model and that guy's a DJ and this guy is famous for this thing, and you know, and I had a passport, so I just collected guys from like different places and stuff like that. It was really, I didn't see them as people at all. I just saw them as trophies. And alcohol was always, I guess, the vehicle for that. So anyway, eventually I get cut off because my dad thinks like that's a lot, and I dropped out of school, and it was just enough. So I got a job. This is where it starts getting worse. I get a job as a customer service representative, and that job was hell. So I would take whatever money I was making and just like get out of my work and go straight to a bar and get wasted. So I was getting wasted like 4 times a week, and my hangovers were horrible. And so I would drink more for the hangovers, and I got to a point where they started calling me Party Wolf. So, because I was just like, I had like huge tolerance, and I was just always pushing for more, and I always wanted to like party from 11 p.m. till like 8 a.m. and like see who was the coolest person I could befriend, so I could go to the coolest party, and just, it was completely ego driven for me. I never really had an addiction problem. It was an ego problem. At least that's how I see it right now. So eventually I reached another rock bottom. I decided to quit my job, go back to school, get my shit together. I got my shit together for a little bit. I was still drinking every weekend, I was still partying, but I kind of got my shit together. But then I decided that I wanted to be a DJ, which is my dream, still is. And I started DJing, and I started doing really well. I started playing a lot of parties, the parties started getting better. And when you're the DJ, you get everything you want. You get all the drugs you want, and you get all the alcohol you want. And again, I didn't ever really abuse drugs. I would have a little, but my thing was alcohol. And the better I was doing at DJing, the more my body started resenting all the things I was doing. My insides hurt, dude. Like, my liver was telling me, dude, stop, you need to stop this. I was tired all the time because I was always hungover, or I was always like having to travel somewhere to DJ. Well, not always, that sounds conceited, but whenever that happened, it was very hard on my body. And then I started getting a couple of residencies at cool clubs, and the drinks would get just harder because they want to make you happy, so they would make you really strong drinks. And it just got to a point where not only was my body failing, but my mind was failing as well. All this casual sex that I was having started catching up with me. I started processing what I was doing. I started feeling like my validation and my sense of self-worth was completely dependent on who was attracted to me and who thought I was hot enough to have sex with. And we also have to remember that alcohol is a depressant, and so the repeated use and constant use of alcohol is really gonna fuck with your head and make you feel depressed. Plus drug intake, which again wasn't too frequent, but it happened, and drugs really mess with your serotonin release, your dopamine levels. So eventually, this was in November of last year. I was 22 years old and I just had a breakdown. I started having panic attacks, which is something that I'm gonna talk about more in other videos, because it wasn't just the alcohol and it wasn't just the drugs, it was also like stuff that was happening to me on a personal level. But I started having a lot of panic attacks, and every time I would drink, my mind would just go on overdrive. And it got to a point where with DJing, I would go to wherever venue I had to DJ, and then immediately have to leave because I couldn't be around people. Alcohol was just like these like voices in my head, like telling me crazy things like you're not good enough, or everyone's looking at you, or someone's putting stuff in your drink, you're losing your mind, maybe you're going schizophrenic, like just ooh. And so one day I had one last panic attack after just one drink. I had one drink and I had a panic attack. And then I thought I have to give myself a break in all the ways that I can. I need to put myself first. I have to reassess my priorities. I have to reassess what I want out of life. And so I just decided to change. I can't tell you that it was like this moment where I sat down and had like an epiphany. It was just one day something clicked and I had to take a hard look at what I was doing. So I said, I'm not gonna drink for a while. I didn't really make a plan, and I didn't say like, let's try to reach 4 months, let's try to reach 6 months. It was just, today I stopped drinking. I don't want to drink today, I don't want to drink tomorrow. And I was having a hard time with being in like public places. So, and I want to say that there were so many moments where I knew that drinking wasn't good for me, and I had to stop. And so I would try for a week, and I said, great, this week I didn't drink, but then the following week I would drink. I would say, oh, maybe just one beer while I watch the sunset, or maybe a couple of cocktails while I'm with my friends, but I'm not gonna get drunk, but I would always get drunk, you know? I never got to the point of like passing out or anything dramatic, too dramatic, but it definitely always got to a point of like horrible hangovers and horrible, what my mom calls moral hangovers, which is when you remember everything you did and just feel so ashamed. So back to November of last year, I said no more alcohol, and I hadn't had drugs for about 4 months at that point. So no drugs, which was easy, no alcohol, which was the hard part, no more casual sex, because for me casual sex and alcohol were kind of linked, which was also really hard because again my self-worth kind of depended on who I was doing it with. And then I started looking into the whole straight thing, and something else clicked. The levels of anxiety that I had were so high, and I realized that I was drinking a lot of coffee, which, I mean, like 2 to 3 cups a day is very much natural in my culture. So I never thought much of it, but I thought, hey, maybe I should stop drinking caffeine. And you know what, while we're at it, anything that's a stimulant, no green tea, no any kind of teas, no anything that's gonna get my heart racing. I started trying to like avoid eating too much sugar because of how lupine makes you feel. And so that's where I'm at right now. It's been 8 months of that. There are days that are really, really hard, especially with quarantine, because you know you're not doing a lot, and all your friends go out and they drink and they like party in the sunset or whatever. And sometimes I'll get like the smell of wine which I love, or beer, which I also love, or whiskey, which was my favorite. And I'm just like, what if I have one drink? And the closest I've gotten to that was about a week ago. My friends were drinking. I just thought, what if I have one drink? I can go back to having like a drink every once in a while, right? But then I immediately had to catch myself and tell myself, dude, you know it's not gonna be just one drink. You know that one drink is gonna turn into two drinks, maybe that's gonna turn into three drinks, and I don't think I'm gonna go back to being that girl that always got wasted, because there was such dramatic change within me, and I'm just not attracted to like partying hard or getting wasted anymore. But what's the point of like having three drinks? What's the point of risking getting hangovers? What's the point of any of that? So, just as a way to close this video, I really encourage anyone who's considering it to try it, because in the end, alcohol and drugs, mainly, but also casual sex and tobacco and caffeine are not good for your brain and your body. They're not good for your anxiety, they're not good for your depression, they're not good for your energy levels. They make you waste time, and they will make you waste money. You have no idea how much money I've saved, money that I'm now using to reach my goals. And time, let's not even talk about that, dude. It's so much time saved, so much time that I'm not spending hungover, that I'm not spending on a calm down, that I'm not, that I can spend getting physically fit and chasing my goals. So I hope this helps whoever is watching, and if not, at least you heard my story. It's entertaining, I think. Have a good day, stay safe, and comment or something. I don't fucking